Hello and welcome to Daily Prelims Practice. Here we take up MCQs based on important articles from the Hindu and the Indian Express newspaper. Topics which we are going to cover today are displayed on your screen. Let's begin the discussion. Now, our first question is based on this article which appeared on page number 11 in the Indian Express. Now, as you know, in November 1999, UNESCO declared February 21 as the International Mother Language Day in response to the declining state of many languages all over the world. Now, this year's theme is Multilingual Education, a Necessity to Transform Education, which underscores the importance of using multiple languages in framing an impactful system of education. This you can also use in your mains answer writing. Now, this article is related to linguistic minority and laws, institutions, constitutional bodies constituted for the protection and betterment of vulnerable section is important theme for your prelims examination as well as for your mains examination. This question based on constitutional bodies came in year 2013. So let's come to the practice question. The first statement is the linguistic minorities are considered as a group of individuals residing in the territory of India or any part thereof with share of population less than 10% of that particular region. Now, linguistic minorities are considered as a group of individuals residing in the territory of India or any part thereof having a distinct language or script of their own. So this much information is right, but there is no maximum or minimum population criteria for such a designation. So this 10% criteria is incorrect. Now let's come to the second statement. Special Officer for Linguistic Minorities has been existed in the Constitution since the beginning. Now based on the recommendation of the State Reorganization Commission and 7th Constitutional Act 1957 was enacted whereby Article 350A and 350B were included in the Constitution. So this statement is incorrect as it was not since the beginning. Now let's come to the last statement. Article 350B provides for a special officer for linguistic minorities to investigate all the matters relating to the safeguards provided for the linguistic minorities in India under the Constitution. Now this statement is correct. Also, Special Officer for Linguistic Minorities reports to the President upon those matters at such intervals as the President may direct, and the President causes all such reports to be laid before each House of the Parliament and sent to the government or administrations of states or UTs concerned. So here we have to identify incorrect statements. So our answer is option A, that is 1 and 2 only. Answer of this PYQ is option D. Now our next question is based on this article, and this article is about militarization of the South China Sea. And you should know that India straddles and is a fulcrum of the region between the Suez and the Shanghai, between West and East Asia, and between the Mediterranean and the South China Sea. South China Sea carries merchandise to and from India. It follows that India has a stake in South China Sea, just as China has in the Indian Ocean. So now, with this you can see that how South China Sea is important for India, and also UPSC has been asking questions based on region or communities came in news. Like this question about communities came in year 2016. So here we have curated practice question based on important region. Here you have to arrange given islands in north to south order. The first is Paracel, second is Sulawesi, third Subic Bay, fourth is Spratly Island. Now, the first is Paracel Islands, which is also known as Zisha Islands, and they are disputed archipelago in the South China Sea. Now, if you can see, these islands or archipelago is approximately equidistant from the coastlines of China and Vietnam. So, from north, first is Paracel Island. Now, next is Subic Bay, which is on the west coast of the island of Luzon in the Philippines. Also, it is northwest of Manila Bay, that is an extension of the South China Sea. So our second option is Subic Bay. Now after Subic, as you can see, the next is Spratly Islands. They are another set of disputed archipelago in the South China Sea, and the archipelago lies off the coast of Philippines, Malaysia and South Vietnam. So the next is Spratly Islands. And the last is Sulawesi Island. That is, Sulawesi is the world's 11th largest island at Indonesia. So with this, correct answer is option C. Answer of this PYQ is option C. Now, our next question is based on this article, which appeared on page number 17 in the Indian Express. News highlights that the funds sent abroad by students under Reserve Bank of India's Liberalized Remittance Scheme, that is LRS, declined by over 42% in the first 9 months of financial year 2023. Now, important developments related to the field of economy has been a recurring theme of UPSC preliminary examination. As in the year 2018, it has asked question based on equalization tax, that is 6% on online advertisement. So let's come to the practice question. In this question, you have to identify incorrect statements with reference to liberalized remittance scheme. The first statement is, under this scheme, no amount can be remitted without the prior permission of the RBI. Now, as LRS allows Indian resident to freely, that is, no permission is required to remit up to $250,000 per financial year for current or capital account transactions or a combination of both. Any remittance exceeding this limit requires prior permission from the RBI. So, our first statement is incorrect. Now, let's come to the second statement. Corporates, partnership firms, HUF trusts, etc. are included in its ambit. Now, in this, only individual Indian residents are permitted to remit. Corporates, partnership firms, HUF trusts, etc. are excluded from its ambit. However, it is available to minors, provided that Form A2 is countersigned by the minor's natural guardian. So, our second statement is also incorrect. Third statement is, it permits the transactions like extending loans, including loans in the Indian rupees to non-resident Indians, that is NRIs. Now, under this scheme, two types of transactions are permitted, namely capital account and current account transactions. Now, capital account transactions include opening a foreign currency account abroad with a bank. Second is acquisition of immovable property abroad, overseas direct investment, and overseas portfolio investment. And the last is extending loans, including loans in Indian rupees, to non-resident Indians who are relatives as defined in the Companies Act 2013. So with this, our third statement is correct, as it permits the transactions like extending loans, including loans in the Indian rupees to NRIs. So here, our correct answer is option A, that is 1 and 2 only. Answer of this PYQ is option D, neither 1 nor 2. Now our next question is based on this article, and according to this article, Centre is now in the final stages of notifying an emissions trading scheme that will require polluting industries to achieve certain standards of energy efficiency and permit them to trade these improvements. Now, you should know that emission trading schemes sets a regulatory ceiling or cap on greenhouse gas emissions. Now, as you know that carbon market and the environment is important theme for your prelims examination. Also, UPSC has asked question based on common carbon metric in year 2021. So here we have curated practice question based on same theme. And in this question, you have to identify correct statements. So the first statement is, carbon credit is a kind of tradable permit that equals 1 ton of carbon dioxide sequestered from the atmosphere. Now before coming on carbon credit, let me tell you that carbon markets are a tool for putting a price on carbon emissions. It allows the trade of carbon credits with the overall objective to bring down emissions. Now what is carbon credit? It is a kind of tradable permit that equals 1 ton of carbon dioxide removed, reduced, or sequestered from the atmosphere. So with this, our first statement is correct. Now let's come to the second statement. Carbon trading started formally after the Paris Climate Agreement that happened in year 2016. Now this statement is incorrect. Why? Because carbon trading started formally in year 1997 under the United Nations Kyoto Protocol on Climate Change. Also, Article 6 of the Paris Climate Agreement provides for the use of international carbon markets by countries to fulfill their nationally determined contributions. So here, our correct answer is option A. Answer of this PYQ is option A. Now, our next question is based on this article, which is about Tipu Sultan and events related to him. Now, aspects related to Tipu Sultan is important for your prelims examination. Also, UPSC has been asking questions based on important events, like this question came in year 2022. So, let's come to the practice question. Question says with reference to Anglo-Mysore wars, consider the following statements and you have to arrange above given options in the correct chronological sequence of the above events. First event is defeat of Hyder Ali at Porto Novo. Second is Treaty of Madras. Third is about Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. And fourth is signing of Treaty Seringapatam. Now, as you know, Treaty of Madras was signed in April 1769 between Hyder Ali and the English after First Anglo-Mysore War that happened around 1767 to 69. Now, during the Second Anglo-Mysore War that happened around 1780 to 84, Hyder Ali was defeated by the English at Porto Novo. After that, the Third Anglo-Mysore War that happened around 1790 to 92, war was ended with the signing of Treaty Seringapatam in 1792 between Tipu Sultan and the English. And the last is Fourth Anglo-Mysore War that happened around 1799. So the correct sequence is option C, that is first Treaty of Madras was signed, then defeat of Hyder Ali at Porto Novo, then signing of Treaty of Seringapatam, and at last Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. Answer of this PYQ is option B. Now our last question is based on this article which appeared on page 15 in the Indian Express. According to this article, a recent study says that around 15 million people across the world face the risk of sudden and deadly flooding from glacial lakes, which are expanding and rising in numbers due to global warming. Now, glacial lake is an important glacial landform and UPSC has been asking questions based on important basic concepts of the geography. As in 2018, it has asked question based on evolution of Earth magnetic field and environment. So let's come to the practice question. Question says which among the following are the erosional glacial landforms? First option is cirque, second is moraines, third iscus, and fourth is horns. Now slow glacial movements are cause of formation of both erosional and depositional landforms. Erosional landforms include cirque, horns, and serrated ridges, etc. Now, cirques are the most common forms of landforms in our glaciated mountains. They are found at the head of glacial valleys. The accumulated ice cuts the cirque while moving down the mountain tops. They are deep, long, and wide trough or basins with a very steep concave to vertically dropping high walls at its heads as well as sides. On the other side, horns form through headward erosion of the cirque wall. If three or more radiating glaciers cut headward until their cirque meet, high, sharp pointed and steep-sided peak called horn forms. So with the help of image, we have seen that cirque and horn comes under the erosional glacial landforms, while moraines and iscus are depositional landforms. So our answer is option C, that is 1 and 4 only. Answer of this PYQ is option C. That's all for today. Stay tuned for more such updates.